Hello, everyone. Once again, we are here, the CFG. I'm the Magnificent Magpie. We've got the ever so winter soldier-esque Seve Baxi.
I'm growing my hair just like it. It's beautiful.
And the ever enthusiastic about superheroes, Alex, the superhero enthusiast.
Hello, everyone.
I would have never guessed that was you.
True believers, with great power comes Excelsior.
Well, it was my pick this time, and I picked Doctor Who Season 1, the Christopher Eccleston run.
I'm sorry, Doctor Who?
Yeah. Well, I've been meaning to get Alex here into Doctor Who for a while, so this show sort of brought that to fruition. So that's one of the reasons. And Steve, have you watched the Eccleston's run before? Because I know you've watched Bat Smith stuff.
Yeah, I've seen most of it. This is the first time I've actually watched all of it in order.
Okay.
I'm not a big Doctor Who fan. I actually have only watched the Matt Smith stuff repeatedly. But I did see most of this randomly, or in chunks at least, and I've seen the last 3 episodes at least 3 or 4 times. I don't know why, but they're always on TV.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I really enjoyed most of this this time around. I didn't watch all of it, but I watched most of it because the last 3 episodes I've watched numerous times, and I do like them. Those, but let's go through this kind of episode by episode. I'll include the 3 two-parters. Each is like 1 episode, so we're not here all night, but. We kick things off with Rose. So, what did everyone think of Rose as the sort of intro to the show? Because we kind of talked about this just beforehand, and not all of us liked that one.
I think it was weak. Not really the best one to launch your show. Or I guess relaunch your show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It was oddly generic, and not because it lacked unique ideas. It's just because the execution was just so kind of lifeless, in all honesty.
Yeah.
Was part of that just the mannequins, or?
No, I mean, it's weird. I feel like everyone in that episode, which fair enough, they're probably still like getting into their roles or trying to figure out what direction to go, and it just feels a little bit messier than it probably should for a first episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, the Autons, as they're called, they were used to kind of launch the 3rd Doctor in some respects in one of the classic shows. So, and they hadn't really been seen for quite a while, and it's kind of a weird monsters to sort of have, but it was kind of alright. I think treating the Doctor as sort of this mystical character that we don't really know much about is kind of interesting, but after you've seen a lot of other Doctor Who, it's kind of like this episode sort of quality sort of goes further and further and further down. But I thought it was like, it's alright, it's not great.
It's definitely one of the campier ones. And going into this, I knew that it was going to be campy since I had warnings from people. And that was good, because I don't know how I would have felt about it had I not had that warning. But I don't think that this show is bad when it's campy, and I like camp. Camp is fine. I just think the episodes that happen to be campier are also the episodes that happen to be the least well written. So it maybe gives the illusion that it's because of the campiness.
And I think a bit of a pattern with Doctor Who, at least what I've picked up with the little I've watched, is that when they want to go campy, they don't realize that campy doesn't always mean straight up farce.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they make that mistake of, well, it's a children's show, we can do whatever we want. Well, yeah, you can, but there's still, like, narrative guidelines and story points and characterizations you should focus a little bit on, especially since it builds on each other so much.
There are 3 episodes in the season with farting aliens.
Yeah.
And they go to the lengths of actually explaining why they fart. And it's like, I didn't care for the Slovene.
Yeah, the family. So
I don't know, the puppets look terrible, or like the suits, I guess. They looked kind of cool when they were in the CGI, like the far away shots, but yeah, they looked bad.
Yeah. We'll get onto them in a minute, but unless there's anything else anyone wants to say about Rose, we can move on to the end of the world.
Well, do you want to talk a little bit about her character?
Yeah, sure. I'm not the biggest Rose fan, especially in this first season. I think she's very underdeveloped until Father's Day. Like, that sort of explores her a little bit more. Like, she's sort of like, oh, look, I'm running along with the doctor, and I'm blonde, and I'm slightly pretty. But, she's not my favorite companion.
Do you feel a little bit like the only reason she's the Doctor's companion is because he's the only person the Doctor talks to for more than a couple seconds? Because I feel there's nothing unique about her.
Yeah.
At least not at the beginning.
Yeah, and she's, she's sort of an every woman, I guess.
Sort of, but I mean, she's very kind of like lower class, and I didn't really expect that going in. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of an interesting choice, but I don't feel like maybe that is why, she wanted to be a companion, is because she has this kind of not so great life and she wants to escape from it and see the stars and time and all that stuff, but I didn't get enough of her motivation in this one.
Well, then especially with how dark this Doctor is meant to be, I don't know why he just let her be an escapist girl that tags along with him outside of the novelty of having a companion. I feel like she didn't bring up a case of why she should be the Doctor's companion, or what the Doctor or Rose get from each other.
Well, sort of play devil's advocate here and within the world that it actually is. She kind of saved his life.
Yeah, with the big plastic monster.
Yeah, and then I guess she kind of grew on him, in that he agreed to take her one trip forwards and one trip back in time, and she sort of kind of proved her worth there. But yeah, like I said, Rose is not my favorite companion, but and I think Russell T Davies loved her more than anyone.
Probably.
And some fans, and some of the girly fans, I guess, too, judging by their reaction and videos that I've seen to Doomsday. But
don't spoil anything.
No, they're out there.
Next one was End of the World, and that was one that I had actually caught the ending of a long time ago. And that was basically all of the Eccleston Who that I had seen.
I like End of the World, I really do. It's not my favorite episode by any means, but I liked it. I enjoyed it. I think I think it kind of made up for Rose in a lot of ways, because like, oh, look, here is all these things and these characters that will, especially the Face of Bo, who comes up later on, again.
It's certainly an interesting idea that you take someone in their every woman situation, and then the first trip you bring them on after you kind of blow their mind with all this weird science is you take them to the end of the world and just destroy their universe.
Yeah.
And then you grow your character from that point. I think that's kind of an interesting move.
Yeah, the Doctor doesn't seem to be very thoughtful when it comes to, what will overwhelm her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and you got to remember, he's used to all this. He's done this so many times before, and he's sort of experienced all this, and he sort of explains it like later on. He can't see it anymore. He can't see the wonder of it anymore. It's I guess for him, it's kind of like watching that great movie that you love and you've seen it so many times that it's sort of like to you, and then you get a friend over to watch it with you, and they're watching it for the first time, so they're sort of like, wow, this is really good.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
Yeah, I guess that's maybe what she brings to him.
Yeah. Magpie, just a question for you real quick. Does it bug you, because I don't know too much, but it did bug me that the first few episodes or most of the season doesn't draw on the fact that the Doctor is a very giant legacy?
Yeah, I think until like later on they hadn't 100% decided whether this was going to be a continuation or not.
Oh, okay.
I'm guessing.
So that's the case. That's perfectly fine. It's just in retrospect, it's weird that this Doctor shows up and he's so different, and we never get a sense of what he used to be.
Yeah, and I guess they didn't want people to feel like, oh, we now have to go back and watch all this stuff.
Yeah, it might have been relying too much on continuity if they did that. They're trying to, I guess, ease people in, and then we get. We're not quite there yet, but we will get to the episode Dalek or however it's pronounced. Dalek. Exterminate.
Yeah.
And then that one definitely plays on the continuity.
Kind of.
And I just don't even mean like bringing in continuity as much as just like the Matt Smith first appearance where they show all the Doctor's faces or something. Just, something to say that there was a bunch of people before this guy and now it's him.
Yeah, that's it. It bugs me now, but when I was first watching it, I'm glad it wasn't there.
Okay, fair enough.
I think that could have worked well with what they did in Rose. Had they played that a different way with like the conspiracy guy, and instead of it being all the same guy, it had been like different guys all throughout the ages, and then he could have thought like it's multiple time travelers or it's multiple people throughout history or something, and then in the parting of ways at the end when we see the regeneration for the first time, I guess in this iteration of the franchise, that would have kind of been the payoff to that, kind of bookending the season.
Yeah,
because we would have understood like, oh, that's what that's about.
Yeah. But End of the World is the first introduction of sorry, I forget what her name is, but because she comes back.
Lady Cassandra.
Yeah, Lady Cassandra.
The weird skin face person.
Yeah, I thought that was a really great effect. I actually thought there was something there, but there's actually nothing there, which is really cool.
That is kind of cool.
Yeah, and
oh, that's all CGI.
Yeah,
cool.
The whole thing was really good. There's some stuff in this that you would think, oh, they CGI. That's not CGI, but that is. But no, the whole. I think that was really well handled. she's really diabolical kind of character. And the whole emphasis on greed in this was really cool idea.
Yeah, and sort of interesting. Go ahead, Steve.
Sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, it's kind of interesting with the Doctor's occasional comments of like, stupid little apes and stuff. That still, even at the end of the world, some of us are still like that.
Yeah.
Well, and she's very racist too, which I think goes a long way to making her unlikable.
Well, with being a fan of Star Trek, it sort of doesn't give you much hope, does it?
No.
For our future. But yeah, I like that they sort of brought in some weird sort of characters like the face of Bo and the little blue guy and other characters. I thought that was really cool. And sort of like how like technology by that point is advanced to the point where it essentially is magic, like moving the continents back to the way they used to be and all that. That's really cool.
I don't think this was definitely intentional, but it's kind of cool how, despite Lady Cassandra being a really unlikable, mean, terrible person, it's interesting how Rose's final confrontation with her is that she physically gave up everything that resembles being a human, and the Doctor ideologically gives up everything that makes him a Time Lord, or at least what he thinks makes him the Doctor. So all of that really fun sci-fi fantasy kind of thing is still grounded with some darker shades, just like Eccleston's performance, which I thought was fun.
Yeah. I really do like the end of the world episode. Like, I really do.
It's fun. Yeah, I like it.
In some ways, it's worth kind of skipping over Rose to watch that episode, but yeah.
Yeah, part of me wishes it could have been the first episode, and I mean, calling your first episode the end of the world would be kind of interesting too. But I don't know necessarily how it would have worked because you would have needed to introduce Rose and all that.
Well, another British show did call that their first episode the end, and that was Red Dwarf, which I found really funny.
Oh, cool. What did you guys think of The Unquiet Dead? Because I found out it was written by Mark Gatiss, and I was like, oh, that makes perfect sense. Because he's a literature nerd.
Yeah.
And he writes such episode to Sherlock, so I was really, really enjoying that one.
Yeah, I like that was like I sort of took a break after the end of the world, and then came back to The Unquiet Dead, and that was really a good episode. I watched a whole heap back to back after that. Next lot.
Yeah, Rose is, and End of the World is pretty good, but like The Unquiet Dead is really where it hits you, and it's like, okay, this is a good show.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it introduces an actress that gets reused in Torchwood, the first actress of this series to be taken over to Torchwood, which is Eve Mells. Yeah, the woman that plays Gwen over in Torchwood plays Gwen here. Yeah, so yeah, and she's actually she's Welsh, and yeah, obviously her family does stay in Cardiff because she's still there. Yeah, but and this episode does set up a lot of stuff for Torchwood as well, with the rift and all that stuff. So Russell T was definitely setting up a lot of stuff for Torchwood in this episode, and I do like it. I like the guy that plays Charles Dickens.
Yeah, I do too.
I think he did.
Yeah, and
there's some pictures online I saw, and I was like, man, they matched him up really well with the beard and everything. They really did cast well for that. And I liked how they set up that, we're just gonna... It was the writing of Charles Dickens' last book. I like it when Doctor Who does touch on some actual history. I think it's very well. Most of the time, that's pretty well handled. Most of the time, not always.
Mm-hmm. That kind of takes us to farting aliens.
Aliens in London and World War III. Yeah.
Can I just say that I really, really hate these 2 episodes.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't
find
disagree.
almost nothing redeemable about them. I think they're just awkward and slanted, and there isn't a lot of character work being done here aside from cool gimmicky effects.
Yeah, I think I can see that, and I wish people would stop farting while I'm trying to save the world. But I think Russell T does kind of get too goofy sometimes. Yeah, stop farting while I'm trying to save the world. But it does introduce a character that I do like. I forget what her name is. The one that flashes her back.
The woman who becomes the Prime Minister.
Yeah.
From Downton Abbey.
Yeah. Harriet Jones. It's right in front of me. How could I not see it? Harriet Jones, who will become Prime Minister and does come back. I reckon she's awesome. I do.
I liked the Slovenes' plan of just destroying the planet and selling it for scrap rather than, just trying to conquer it, because that was unexpected.
Yeah, I can get why you there is better stuff after this. I think this is probably one of the worst 2-parters, and Russell T Davies, sorry man, but I really don't like your writing.
Yeah, that was the thing, watching this for the first time, not being too familiar with Doctor Who. I just watched through the season, and there were certain episodes that I didn't like, and then I went back and checked who wrote what ones, and, all the ones that I liked the least were the Russell T Davies ones.
Yeah,
he's really good when it comes to premises or just really vague ideas, but the moment you make him start writing dialogue or evolving plots or characterizations, it just really falls apart for me.
So
yeah.
Russell T Davies is to Doctor Who what David Goyer is to superheroes, or George Lucas is to Star Wars. Good ideas, guy, but not the guy you want executing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although they did make the right decision of keeping the same director for both episodes, but I just really I quite often skip over these, but there is some interesting stuff. Plus, we get the woman that ends up playing Tosh is in at least one of these episodes. I think it's Aliens of London. She's the mortician that examines the pig. It's the that's interesting. We bring Unit back, which is really cool. I like that. We do there's a lot of touching on continuity here, but not really reaching back and using any of it, really. I don't think in this season, but
because he really only has that one line of saying "Oh, Unit, they're good guys," and so me not knowing anything about Doctor Who, I was like, okay, that must mean something. I don't know what, but that must mean something.
Yeah. But yeah, if there's nothing you really want to say about Aliens of London or World War III episodes, I'm just happy to move on.
My thoughts on those are just...
yeah, it's... but Rose does come back and just sort of does oh, you've been gone, 6 months, I think it is, or whatever. Which is kind of funny. I think it does have a kind of an alright cliffhanger between them, but like apart from that, it's very.
Yeah, the fact that it's bad, coupled with the fact that it's a two-parter, really just makes it even worse.
But I do have one good thing to say about it. The trailer after World War III sets up a great episode. It's like,
yeah.
You don't it's sort of implied that you don't know what's coming, and then you see it's Dalek that's coming, and which is a great episode. It is.
This was
really
one of my
good.
faves.
Yeah, this was a fantastic episode.
Now I don't know if you guys know, but initially oh god, I moved the thing now. Terry Nation's estate wasn't going to allow them to use the Daleks for this initially. They weren't going to allow them to use it in the reboot, and I'm glad they changed their minds and allowed them.
Was there a reason why they weren't allowed to use them?
I don't know. I just don't know. I've heard numerous times that they weren't going to allow them to use them, and I was like, might as well not even bother doing the series, because I think it's kind of like having Batman without the Joker, and now we're kind of getting that with the Beware the Batman, which I hope comes back.
Which is
Anarchy is serving that purpose in that show.
Yeah,
yes.
And I have a theory about that, but we'll probably never know because that show will not go past the first season. But
Tsunami gets a lot of ratings lately, so.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, me too.
But anyway, back to Dalek. I think, to be honest, I don't think the Daleks have looked as good as they have in this one episode. Like, they've been used really well since then, but I think the initial way of bringing them back has been really good. And sort of saying that it was them that the Doctor was fighting in the Time War was really good, I think. And there's a lot of mythos added here, I think. A lot of...
it fills in a lot of the backstory of like what exactly went on. I guess presumably between the end of the previous series and like 89 and the beginning of this one.
Actually, it was 96 because there was a movie. There was a movie that they put in between, but there was debate for a long time whether that movie was in continuity as well.
Is it?
Yeah, it is in continuity. They just they acknowledge it, but that's about it. But yeah, do you guys want to let you guys talk for a while? Because I've done no.
Go for it, Steve.
Well, I have a point about Daleks, but I don't want to bring it up until we get to the last episode.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, because they do reveal something about them then.
Yeah, also that, and this episode and the final episode set a precedent for something, and it gets really annoying. So yeah, We'll touch on that later.
Okay.
That show's called Dalek is a great episode. It's just I wanted to reserve that for later.
I really enjoyed this. This was like just great sci-fi. You got him. Like he says that the one line of like he would make a great Dalek, and it's just like that's below the belt. That really hit him. And that's basically what this whole episode's about, is like showing how Doctor, he was changed by the war.
Yeah, I like that. I like the Henry Van Staten in this. I think introducing Adam was a good idea. I just wish they hadn't made him a complete idiot in the next episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very much not I just love this episode. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know what to say other than just watch it. It's very good.
Yeah.
A lot of the problems we have, like in the earlier episodes, about things being vague and things not being well characterized, they're all fixed in this, and you get a real sense of what Eccleston is as the Doctor and why he refuses to say certain things, or why he's intentionally dark or more utilitarian than you think he should be. It's really cool to see him descend to the level of a Dalek and not acknowledge it or think that it doesn't matter if I have to go to their level to kill them because they deserve it. And it's kind of scary.
Mm-hmm. He's frightening in this one.
Yeah, he's such a good actor, and it really comes out in this episode.
Yeah. And after watching the 50th anniversary special and then seeing this, it kind of know what the Doctor's had to go through to get there.
This probably diminishes the 50th anniversary for me.
Really?
Yeah, because if you cut out John Hurt and they just got Eccleston, it would have been so much better. Because I think Eccleston embodies that whole terrifying persona way better than John Hurt.
It's not their fault that Eccleston.
Oh no, it's not. I'm just saying, hypothetically speaking.
Why did Eccleston leave the series after only a series?
Well, he didn't have a good time on the show apparently.
Oh.
And my understanding from talking to other people as well, that was intentional because they wanted to show a regeneration, I think, at the end of the season anyway. And Eccleston wasn't having a good time, so he was happy to leave.
Oh. It's kind of unfortunate that they would be mean to drive him away.
Sorry? Steve, what did you ask?
Oh, I was just saying, why is he so reluctant to come back? Even as cameos.
Yeah, I don't know. He really, I gather it was really bad time for him. He wanted someone else to direct the 50th, because originally he did agree to do it, but he wanted someone else to do it. SF Debris sort of does talk about that in his review of the 50th anniversary, so...
Okay.
And I still have no clue what you guys are talking about, but...
Yeah, that's all right. But
I'll get there.
We can transcend now to the long game. Another Russell T Davies episode. One I actually kind of do like because it does set up there at the end, and I do like the end of this. But
it was the best one that he did, I think, this season.
You take out the Adam part of this, and I'm 100% happy because Adam is a dick.
I wasn't expecting what's his name, Simon Pegg, to show up in this.
Yeah, that was a surprise.
I think I've seen this episode a couple times before, but I never connected dots. Hey, that's Simon Pegg.
Yeah, Simon Pegg, a big geek, so he was more than happy, I gather, to come on. But I think Russell T Davies has a love for the name Max because he uses that name again for someone else. But
I thought that this did a decent job of satirizing the media and how all that works.
Oh yeah.
And that was really the strength of this one.
Yeah, all that was great.
Did you guys get the sense that the feel? Maybe it's because we just watched Blade Runner, but it feels a little bit Blade Runner, doesn't it? Where everything's kind of claustrophobic and congested and nowhere near the ideal future everyone hopes you get.
Yeah, it's pretty dystopian.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Doctor's like, this is wrong. This is not right. We shouldn't be more.
It's very unsettling, but everyone acts like it's a normal part of society, and I thought that was fun.
Yeah, I do like that one. It's the next one I have issues with. Not for the writing, it's just other things. But I think Russell T definitely does a good job here. Like we said, he's good with ideas, just not so much with dialogue. constructing a plot.
I will say, one of the things I really, really do like about Doctor Who is, especially compared to Star Trek, its aliens are very alien. Like, there's an alien in this episode that it's like a shark on the ceiling.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, totally did not see that coming at all. If this had been Star Trek, the secret person would have just been, somebody with a ruffled forehead. I really like that they take the extra effort to make the aliens very, very different.
And it's great that the series, like British television in general, has a much lower budget than American television. So they're really creative and just throw on whatever spare parts or costumes they have laying around and just make the coolest looking things ever.
Yeah.
The show's very, very weird, and I admire that about it.
Yeah, and it's not ashamed of it either.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is they really take advantage of moving through time. They can move further and further through time sometimes, and maybe not so far in the future. And they're pretty good at extrapolating some stuff that might happen. Most of the time.
And this episode marks another awesome effect of Doctor Who, which is with time travel shows, you usually can't do much because it's hard to make the future look different in every episode. But this show handles it perfectly. Like, there's countless amounts of time travel throughout the series, and every setting always looks 100% different than what you just saw.
Yeah.
And they make it seem effortless.
Mm.
Yeah, well done.
Mm.
Magpie, why don't you like Father's Day? I like this one.
Father's Day is good on the first watch. It's pretty good on the second watch. It's that third watch, after you've seen it a few times, it's not as much of a standout episode, especially with the stuff that happens later and with Tennant's run, as this. It's not. It's just It's not one of the episodes I look forward to going back to. I just don't particularly like it. I don't think the Reapers are particularly cool, considering we never see them again anyway.
Oh, we don't?
No.
That's interesting, because that's a cool idea that, like, time would try and fix itself.
Yeah, especially considering how convoluted time is going to get in this series anyway. You would think those guys would show up out of every orifice.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's just, like, a lot of things just don't... I don't like I don't like rewatching it again. I'm glad that we sort of get some character background for Rose, so explain what happened to her father, what kind of guy he was, and I'm glad that we do get to see Pete Tyler again in a different way later on, but I like those appearances more than this one. So, yeah.
I thought it was good stuff about, the human condition, and she had built her father up into being this kind of great guy in her head, and it turns out he's just this, like, 2-bit huckster kind of a guy selling crap, barely able to make ends meet, and then she kind of has to deal with that, and then that inspires him to be kind of the person that she had hoped him to be.
Yeah. And I like episodes though with self-sacrifice, and that was cool. That's a cool element of it. It's just there's so much good stuff that happens later. It sort of like overshadows a lot of the stuff in this first season, and that's one of the episodes definitely overshadows. Cause,
okay, I'm speaking from a position having only seen this season, so that's just my perspective.
A lot of this season is must watch, and that is definitely one of them because it sets up stuff for later on. But yeah,
okay.
You guys want to move on to the empty child?
Mummy,
yeah.
Are you my mummy? Holy fuck, that was creepy.
Can I just say that this is my favorite episode of the season, and probably one of my favorite episodes of Doctor Who, the 2-part Empty Child and the Doctor Dances.
Oh, yeah.
I really, really love this two-parter, and Jack Harkness is the coolest guy ever.
Yep, and guess what? He gets his own spin-off in Torchwood, so
Oh.
another... but, yeah,
I've never actually seen Jack Harkness, because all I've watched is Matt Smith, but this guy is so awesome. He's got a great... I don't want to say, like, personality, because that just sounds weird, but he's got this great charisma about him, and he has this whole... It doesn't matter how weird things get or how terrifying things get, he's just a matter-of-fact about it. It's really fun.
Yeah.
He kind of makes me question my sexuality a little bit. He's extremely charismatic.
Yeah. I really like the guy, and it's scary.
Yeah, he will sleep with anyone.
And I would buy that anyone would sleep with him.
Yeah.
I have no problems with suspension of disbelief when it comes to that.
So, yeah, basically the Doctor has to go back in time to World War II to recover a missing, what turns out to be, ambulance, and he keeps running into a kid with a gas mask that just keeps asking, "Are you my mummy? Are you my mummy?" And then, of course, it's spread throughout London. There's a whole heap of people with gas masks attached to their face just asking that question. And, yeah. But what do you think about the resolution to the cliffhanger where the Doctor just sends the kid to his room?
I thought that was kind of funny.
I did too.
Yeah, Stephen Moffat is definitely one of my favorite writers, if not my favorite. I just love the way he just turns something like so innocent and not really scary in any way into something terrifying. Little thing.
He's very Whedon in that respect, isn't he?
Yeah.
Like, all of his drama comes from the characters, but then he also has this warped sense of what's fun and what's creepy, and he can turn the slightest, like, I don't know, he could turn My Little Ponies into terrifying jacked up shit.
Yeah. Yeah, considering he turned a small child into one of the scariest things ever.
A little kid who just wants to find his mom is terrifying. I don't know how he pulls that off.
Yeah. And, and he delivers on his promise to this one time everybody lives. Yep, that's it for Moffat. Yeah, he showed mercy one time. Because I'm pretty sure just about every other episode he writes, someone dies.
I can see why him and Mark Gatiss make such great writing partners, because it's clear with, both of their scripts in this season, there's some of the most intelligent stuff that was written. And it's clear that both those guys are extremely knowledgeable about history and about all sorts of different things. I loved the idea in this that, when everybody had to go to their air raid shelters, that would be the perfect time to steal stuff from them. That's just so clever.
And they both seem to have this fundamental understanding of what a person's mindset is in this historical era. Because anyone can just get a encyclopedia and figure out all the facts and details of a certain time zone, whether it's Charles Dickens or World War II. But these guys have a real sense of what do you do to get people to think it's really 1869 or it's really World War II? What kind of sensibilities does that bring out in a person? And how does that change over time? And is it absurd or is it universal?
Mm-hmm.
True. What do you got? There's another character in this, Nancy, who keeps showing up, and we find out at the very end of the Doctor dances that she's in fact the mother. Did you buy that she was older than she looks? Because I'm pretty sure it's been a while since I checked this, but the actress was actually closer to the age she was supposed to be.
Well, she's certainly old enough to have had a kid that age. Just barely, I think, though.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the thing. That's the thing back then. Was that happened, and the girl would go away for 9 or 10 months, and she would come back, and suddenly she has a sister or a brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
so I bought it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I didn't really have a problem with it either.
Yeah, because I thought she was looked far younger than what she.
So the answer to the question was yes. She was his mummy.
Yeah. And we were just with the release of Transcendence. Did you like the use of the nanogenes in this, Alex?
Yes, very much.
And Steve?
Yeah, definitely. It was definitely stronger than Transcendence.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I guess we can talk about that afterwards. But now we're in the last 3 episodes. Not really as interconnected as they would be later on. Like usually, I noticed a lot in the last few seasons, like that Russell T Davies did at least. The second to last. The episode before the final 2-parter, anyway, would sort of link in with the final 2-parter. It kind of didn't. Jack's still around though, so that's cool. He doesn't get much to do in this, but we sort of revisit that also favorite earlier 2-parter that we really did enjoy. Did you like the Sivline this time around anymore?
I liked her better. I still wouldn't say I liked her.
Yeah, when you drag characters like that are really annoying for 2 full episodes, it's hard to get anyone's opinion changed on them, but I didn't have a problem with them per se this time.
Okay.
I didn't enjoy their presence or anything, but they were there and I wasn't complaining, so...
But it was interesting. I thought what was interesting about this is the Doctor's going to have to take her away to be executed. And that was really interesting. Would the Doctor do that, or would he? I very much believe now that Doctor would do that. I don't know if Tennant would though. I really don't know. I don't think Tennant would, but
ultimately he doesn't. He just has her transformed into an egg, so she can start over again. Which is kind of interesting that they have sort of a nature versus nurture theme in this episode.
Yeah, and I think the Sylvain were much more tolerable now this time around, and they didn't have as much farting this time, so I guess that helped. But again, we touch on the rift, which will ultimately sets up Torchwood and sets up a later episode as well.
So before we get into the finale, when does Torchwood start as far as the Doctor Who timeline goes? Is that the thing that comes right during Series 2, or is it several years down the line? Or
I'm trying to do the math.
Because I want to go back and watch Torchwood, but I'm not sure how much Who I have to watch before I get in there.
Season 1 ends with the beginning. I guess Season 3. You have to watch Season 3. But because Season 1 of Torchwood ends with links directly in with the finale of Season 3 of this iteration of Doctor Who, anyway. If that makes any sense.
No, it does. I just, okay, that makes better sense, alright.
Yeah, so, because, it doesn't link in with Doctor Who as much as I would wish it would. I'm hoping if they ever do relaunch it, that it does link in with Doctor Who a little bit more. But, yeah.
I like that we got to see a little bit more from the boyfriend in this one, despite the fact that I never cared for him much. But he felt more human in this, and understandably is not pleased that, Rose is running all over the universe in time and space, and he doesn't know if she's ever coming back for him.
Yeah.
Because she did play kind of a douche move on him.
Oh, yeah, she did. I guess a lot of the problem with liking Mickey is that his whole character arc is kind of trivial when you're considering, like, the fate of time and space and all that. But it's also the most human, so I didn't mind it. I just felt like they did a better job balancing it in this episode than they ever did before. Because at other times, it just seemed like, get your priorities straight for a second. The world's about to end.
Yeah.
The thing I really wish we'd seen with Mickey is how he ended up where he is in the end of time. Because that I like.
How does he end up in End of Time?
Spoilers.
Okay.
But yeah, I like where he ends up. I guess we can move on to the Bad Wolf, and then I guess we're the parting of the ways.
I guess before we get too far in... Oh, sorry, do you want to go ahead? I just wanted to talk about the Daleks real quick.
Oh, no, okay. Go ahead.
Okay, just because the point I set up earlier. We're going to get a bunch of episodes where the Doctor shows up and says, no, what the hell are these things doing here? I killed them. And then we're going to get a bunch of finales where he kills all of them all over again. And that gets really absurd and annoying. Like, Smith did it 3 times. It's just absurd.
Yeah, Moffat sort of was like, fuck this.
I feel like if you're gonna get... It's like a Batman Joker thing. You can't keep killing the Joker. It doesn't make sense. We know they're gonna come back. I don't know why they feel the need to constantly make episodes like that.
Well, granted, Moffat sort of tried to fix it when he first brought them back, initially with the episode... with an episode he did, where... Once again, they traveled back to World War II at a different time, I guess, in World War II, during the Blitz. So he kind of fixed that in some form or fashion. It was one of the first ones he did. Sort of like, okay, I brought them back. We're going to keep bringing them around a bit, because the next time you see them is, I think, the next time you see them is Asylum of the Daleks, and there's like a huge Dalek fleet by then. So,
okay, fair
enough. I think Moffat fixed it. Like, he was sort of like, he even said in the commentary for that episode, we can't keep doing this as the last one at a time and everything together.
Okay, that's fair enough. It's just like, having watched the same plot go out a couple times, it's really hard to go back and watch these 2 episodes, despite how good they are. It's just that notion of, holy shit, the Daleks are back, holy shit, I killed the Daleks, and they rinse, repeat over and over.
Yeah, Russell T kept doing that.
Yeah.
Was probably sick of it.
Yeah, but go on, because this is a really good 2-parter, I think.
Yeah, reality TV's run amok.
You are the weakest link. Goodbye.
Being a somewhat a fan of Big Brother, I thought it was funny, the Doctor showing up in the Big Brother house. Especially when there's only 3 people left, which makes no sense, but okay. From the show sense, but like there's 50 Big Brothers all going on at once. That's like really like annoying. Would be annoying, and dear God, I like how it links in with the long game, in a sense that, oh well, he screwed up because the news stopped and no one was getting their news, and thus they proceeded to just not do anything and just sit at home watching game shows and reality TV. But yeah, I do like the first part of this where they set up that the Daleks have been manipulating everything for a while, and for an instant you think, thank God Rose is dead. But yeah, I thought it was, I really think this is pretty cool, and
I have a bit of a criticism. I felt like the Bad Wolf payoff was really, really kind of poor.
Yeah, but I give it a pass because it's the first season, and they probably weren't wanting to go too archy in their first season.
I just wish that had meant something more than her just scattering the words throughout time, because it seems like a random phrase, and they make it sound so ominous. And it's basically like nothing.
And considering they go back to it later on anyway, it's like,
Oh, interesting.
But, yeah, they keep going back to it. But it's sort of to say Rose is coming back most of the time. But yeah, like I said, I give it a pass because, well, it was their first time around, and they didn't want to go too archy first up. And and Russell T said he just wanted something to connect each things that he was doing at the time. It does get more archy later on, especially even more so with Moffat. So
that's good. I really liked that the Daleks are religious extremists. I thought that was really, really cool.
Yeah, it was a fascinating idea. It's a cool juxtaposition, because through this whole series we see that Eccleston's doctor is really utilitarian, and that he's forced to do the things that seem unjust because of the greater good, and he wants to change that. But the Daleks are the exact opposite extreme, where they say, nope, this is definitely what's right, and their perception of right is just crazy. So the Doctor has to, by the end of this, kind of find a balance between that. Like, you have to be the greater good because you're the last Time Lord, but you also have to realize that certain things are right, and you have to fight for very specific goals instead of just saying that one person isn't worth anything and 50 people are.
I know I'm in love with the concept of the Daleks, of, you know, the weeding out every emotion except for hate, and then, you know, finding that because they mixed in some human DNA, maybe they have some fear in there too.
Yeah,
I do like the Daleks, and they are definitely probably my favorite Doctor Who villain. Right behind them is the Cybermen, but that's more classic Who. I don't think Moffat's used them to their full potential.
Yeah, I was expecting, because I had heard things about the Cybermen, but I was kind of expecting or hoping to see them in this, besides just the head that was in Stanton's collection.
Well, you do get to see them in the next season, so...
Goody.
Yeah, Cybermen, I like the Cybermen.
Handles, I can't wait till we get to Handles.
Yeah, Handles is... But, yeah, I guess there's only one other thing to ask. The regeneration scene, do you think it was handled really well? Because we get David Tennant after this, and that's a lot of people's favorite Doctor. So, what do you think of saying goodbye to X, and were you at all emotional about that? Because I was kind of upset initially when I watched it. I didn't cry or anything. I was just kind of like, oh.
I would have liked to have seen more from Eccleston. At least another season.
Yeah, I would have liked to have seen I wouldn't mind seeing another couple more times, but unfortunately it doesn't look like that's going to happen.
Or maybe at least like a Christmas special or something like a longer than a normal episode, so we get a real thicker sense of this guy before we say goodbye to him. Because I feel like even by the end of the season, there's still a rougher edge to him that we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I brought that up when I initially did my Doctor Who conversation with Ian, but apparently that was planned and all that, and yeah, so, but I guess Barcelona, right?
The planet Barcelona.
Yeah. There is a mini episode that sort of bridges the gap between these. I can't remember if it's on the discs or not, which sort of bridges the gap between this episode and the Christmas special that sets up everything. So I will. I don't know whether you guys saw that or not, but it's pretty much just Rose sort of panicking that Eccleston, the Ninth Doctor, is not there anymore, and then there's David Tennant, at least pretty cool hair, and that's about it. So, yeah.
No, I didn't get a chance to see it, but I'm really curious. I guess you've converted me. I'm a new Whovian.
Yeah. How many, did you watch, just a quick question, did you watch, all of these back to back, or did you...
Yeah, I just binge-watched the whole first season in a day.
You couldn't watch just one episode, could you?
No. I enjoyed it.
Steve, you hadn't really watched a lot of these before. Did you binge-watch most of this?
I pretty much binge-watched the whole season except for the last 2 episodes, which I had to get back to later.
Fair enough. Life gets in the way.
Yeah, of course. But it was enjoyable. I'm like I said, I'm not a classic Doctor Who fan or anything. I haven't seen anything outside of Smith except this, and I don't like Eccleston as much as I like Smith. But there were some really good ideas sprinkled into this, and Eccleston's just a fantastic actor, so that alone was enough to carry me through it.
Yeah, I would say too, just as a sci-fi fan, there are a number of episodes in this season that are just really stand out, just great sci-fi stories that explore some really interesting things, and really blew me away in that respect.
And just as a broader thing, the Doctor has a lot of superhero archetypes and cliches built into him, doesn't he? About standing for a bigger purpose, and the companion as a sidekick. And the arch nemesis and stuff like that, and the foils with his worst enemy and being converted, stuff like that.
Yeah, there is a lot of that. Just instead of the Batmobile, it's the TARDIS.
Yeah.
Sorry, the TARDIS is the coolest vehicle ever.
Does it really count as vehicle?
Yeah.
It travels. Yeah, it travels, therefore.
Through time and space. Okay. Time and relative dimensions in space, in fact.
Yeah. Dimension. Not dimensions, just dimension. Yeah, so if there's nothing else you guys want to talk about, we can leave it off there. And this is being recorded before our countdown special of I guess what will have been our guilty pleasures, so you'll be hearing this after that. But we're going to probably do a couple of those in between these. So, but Steve, our next episode is going to be your pick. Before I guess we duck back to me because August is going to be my birthday month, and thus I get my pick then. So, what are we doing next time?
All right, so next time we're watching a show that's a little bit bigger now because a movie just came out, a movie entirely funded by the fan base, which is really cool. We're doing the first season of Veronica Mars, which is Joss Whedon's favorite show, and it's kind of a neo-noir high school drama, and it's really fascinating. I hope you guys enjoy it. I was a little hesitant to say it just because I felt like it had a lot of it felt almost like it was too American. Like I felt like maybe on a global scale people might not enjoy it as much, but you guys have said that people talk about it all around the world, so maybe you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm really curious, especially that you said that. I'm curious what you mean exactly, so I want to check it out.
Yeah,
Same here.
It's mostly because the school systems of America and everyone else in the world are so different that I'm not sure how relatable you'll think it is. But as a story and as a character piece and as a noir detective piece, I think it's really fascinating.
Well, I do like a good mystery, but so I'm not 100% sure what we're going to be doing for my month, so I'll announce that next time we're here. So, but hopefully you tuned in for the countdown. I'm not sure what our next countdown will be after that, but Yay.
It'll be good. You will like it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, meeting adjourned, gentlemen. Goodbye. And you were all fantastic. So was I.